Hi guys, it's Andy from NismoTechUK. Today we're going to be conducting the review on the Irox Golem Series K50E high scissor structure illuminated gaming keyboard. We have done the unboxing on our YouTube channel on the website NismoTech.com, so do make sure you go and check that out if you haven't already seen that. But we're going to go and just basically quickly look at some of the key features of the actual keyboard using the box. We've got 3.8mm high scissor structure key travel, anti-ghosting, turbo typing, scissor structure as it mentions, and backlighting as well. And there's quite a bit more to mention about the actual keyboard. So we're going to go and pop that back there, and we're going to go and bring the actual keyboard into play. Okay, so the first thing that I want to cover with you guys is the actual cable itself. Now it is 1.8 meter. I would have liked to have seen it being braided, as I mentioned in the unboxing of the actual product. It does terminate in a USB connector, but we also get included a USB to PS2 adapter. Now it does have a bit of its drawbacks using both options. For example, in the USB mode, obviously you do have your backlighting option, but the N key rollover is reduced to 13 keys, whereas if you use the PS2 it increases to 24. But you do lose the actual backlighting, and there's a bit of a diagram on here on the actual box as to where the N key rollovers are. That's the full spectrum, 24 keys. And I do believe from what I've been trying to work out and test is that when it's in USB mode, you've got the WASD, you've got shift, control, spacebar, you've got the 4 cursor keys, and you've also got Q and E as well. So there are positives to using the USB connector, because also you've got the backlighting, but if you want that extra protection when gaming, you might need or want to consider using the PS2 adapter. But I'd imagine for the majority of people, the USB is going to be the way forward. Moving on to the back of the keyboard, while we are talking about the cable, you can see that we have got 3 different outlets for the actual cable to run out of, which is something that I personally quite like to see. It does mean that depending on where you have the cable routing on your desk, you are able to position it to your needs. So moving on to the actual layout and the actual keyboard itself, the font is slightly different from the norm, as you can see here with the E and the R key, slightly different to what you'd normally expect, but I quite like the look of the font. Got the Irox in the middle on the actual spacebar, got the Golem series along here, got a nice rich red accent going along the actual top of the actual keyboard, just to sort of separate from the black plastic look. In terms of its thickness, it's a very thick keyboard, probably to accommodate the 3.8 meter travel. I'll try and bring that in and show you how far that actually goes down. See, it goes down a hell of a way. But it definitely gives the impression that it is a mechanical keyboard in terms of its sort of weight, and also the actual sort of thickness of the actual keyboard itself. I'll bring that around, try and get that into focus without knocking everything over, as you can see there. So it does give itself a sort of impression that it wants to be a mechanical keyboard, but we have got this high structure scissor action going on with this particular keyboard. The main framework around the actual keyboard is all plastic, so fingerprints, as you can see, I've got a fingerprint mark on there already from when I've been using the actual keyboard. You are going to get fingerprints all over this keyboard, so it's probably a good idea to give it a bit of a wipe down every now and again. On the back, we have got these very efficient anti-slip rubber pads that work extremely well, and again they are on the actual risers on there as well, and it's quite an attractive looking back, even though you're never gonna really look at it, but with it being red, it does look very good indeed. So we're now going to go and take a closer look at some of the actual features of the keyboard. Okay, so now on to a couple of the actual key features of the keyboard itself. Now also, as I already mentioned, we have got this anti-key rollover in PS2 mode. We've got 24 keys, which is kind of like the left hand side plus the arrow keys, but then when you are knocking that down to USB, you've only got 13 keys, which are Q, W, E, A, S and D, Shift, Control, Spacebar, and the 4 arrow keys. And where things get a little bit interesting on the actual keyboard is this dual mode. And at the moment we have got it in the general mode. I'm just going to go over here and select the other mode. There are actually 4, but I'll cover them off in a moment. Now when you're in general mode, it's generally for use for normal typing, not really for gaming. The Windows lock key, or the Windows key is active, the apps key is active, and it's designed really to be used sort of pretty much normally when you're actually typing, etc. It's a normal typing speed. When you switch it into the next mode along, which is Turbo 13, essentially the Windows key and the apps key get disabled straight away, and it is sort of supports typing speed of up to 13 characters per second, which if you are playing a game that doesn't require you to press the keys too much, that should be perfectly ample for you. Now where things get a little bit different is when you switch it over to PS2 mode for the actual keyboard. You do actually get an extra 2 modes for it to go into. You have got Turbo 50, which supports 50 characters per second, and Turbo 120, which, as you could probably understand, supports characters of 120 per second. So if you are using this for a game that requires you to move around with the WSD keys and do various other bits and pieces really rapidly, really quickly, then you're probably going to want to use this in PS2 mode. Now, when I was actually gaming with it, I was using Far Cry, and when I was in Far Cry I was perfectly fine in USB mode, but when I went to go on to play things like Titanfalls, a little bit of Battlefield, I did find myself preferring to actually use it in the PS2 mode. Obviously you do lose the backlighting, but you do gain that extra area of anti-ghosting, but obviously you got that more responsive when it comes to rapid key presses. So talking about the actual backlighting, up at the top here with the print screen you have got the backlight on, and you've also got the backlight off. So I will show you in a moment what it looks like in the actual dark. Like I said, that's only available when you are in USB mode. So let's go and switch the lighting off a moment. So at the moment I've only got the sort of small light in my office on, and also my monitors, so you can actually see. Hopefully I'll press the mode button up here again, like so. I'll just switch that on and switch it off. It glows a little bit orange on screen, but it very much is a very nice rich red all the way around the actual keyboard itself. I'm just going to go and switch all the lights off, and there you can see how well it actually brights up or lights up the entire keyboard. It does look very, very nice, and I do actually really quite like the backlighting on here. I would have loved to have seen a breathing mode, obviously an option maybe in the future for an RGB keyboard, but very much would have really liked to have seen a a breathing mode for the actual backlighting. Okay, so that's about it for the actual features of the actual keyboard. I'm now going to go and give you my final review, and obviously look at the keyboard in action in some gameplay, and give you my conclusion of what I think of the K50E Golem series. At first glance, the K50E looks like a basic keyboard, but there is more to it than meets the eye. The build quality, in my opinion, is just as good as any other brand out there on the market, and ones that I've personally used and tested. And I like the font used on the actual keys, even though they are slightly different from the norm. The red accent line across the top and also on the back looks really good, and does sort of offset it from what is predominantly a black keyboard. Cable management is also very good, with 3 options out the back for you to be able to route to what side of the keyboard you want your cable to come through, although as I've already mentioned I would have preferred to have seen a braided cable. Just staying with the back, the anti-slip feet also do a very good job and are very sturdy and strong. When it comes to the backlighting, I do feel that IROX have done a great job being able to light the actual keyboard up without it being too bright, and having very good coverage across the actual keyboard. But I would have liked to have seen some kind of breathing mode or something similar being offered with the actual keyboard. One thing also to mention is that I do believe you are able to change out the keycaps with any cherry caps, which is an additional bonus if you do want to customize the keyboard that little bit further. The keyboard does give the impression it has got mechanical switches under the keycaps. With its thickness and weight and simplistic design, it does look like a basic mechanical keyboard. And during gameplay, the response and feel from the keys felt very good indeed. I'm not saying it's as good as a mechanical switch, but the high scissor structure I personally think is probably the next best thing. The scissor structure uses a couple of parallel arms and a high keystroke of 3.8mm, which makes it more comfortable to type with, but also because of its design, no matter where you push down on the key, you will actually need less force than a mechanical switch, which produces slightly less noise and a very quick response. Personally, I had no issues when gaming. It actually felt very good, and I almost forgot that I was actually trying the actual keyboard out, as it felt pretty similar to my current mechanical keyboard. Although I don't game as much as I'd like to, it was more than adequate across the 5 or 6 games that I actually tried the keyboard with. I also didn't feel limited in any way with the N key rollover, and I think for the average gamer this is actually a really good choice of keyboard. If you're not looking to spend close to £100 on a mechanical keyboard, this one's coming in at a very reasonable price. Just check out the link down below to see the actual current price of the keyboard. So overall, it's a great keyboard for the price. Gives you the look and feel of a mechanical, but does lack a few features that some of you might be looking for, like macros and profiles, and possibly a little bit more control over the backlighting. And on a final note, it can be a bit of a fingerprint magnet, although I can't seem to stop using the keyboard during my daily activities. So I hope you liked the review of the IROX K50E Golem series keyboard, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thanks for watching our video, and we do hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave a comment down below and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, and also visit our website NismoTech.com, where you'll find all the products we've done videos for, as well as our current giveaways and the latest tech news and press releases. We hope to see you again soon.